Okay.
All right. Well, hello everybody. My name is Nilguen Yalay and I'm a storyteller here in New Zealand. And I'm also a therapist. So I've worked many years in the hospice in Christchurch here, and then transitioned to telling stories and driving a little gypsy motorhome all over New Zealand, and mostly telling stories to adults. So like a little warning, maybe this is a story that is usually more used for adults as it has the theme of death. But it also features actually in the Brother Grimm's stories in a storybook for children, or which is used for children. So I think it's all right. I think it's fine. I adapted this story when I listened to it from a collection by Dr. Clarissa Pinkola Estes, who is, I love her very much. And I have chosen many of her stories for my storytellings. So this is the story of La Calavera, grandmother death. It's a very old folk tale. It originated actually in Iceland around the 13th century. And this one, and there are many different versions of it, and you will feel, that this is familiar to you. But my version is from Mexico, a Mexican folktale. It's a little bit longer than the other stories, so please be with me and enjoy. Once upon a time, there lived a man who had 12 children. And by the time his wife announced that there would be a 13th child, you could say he was quite an old man. Oh, he thought, what can I do? How can we cope with another child? I can hardly feed my 12 children, my wife and myself. Oh, I have to find a really good godparent for this child. But we are living in such a small village. Yeah, and all the suitable godparents are already used up by my 12 children. It has to be a godparent who not only cares for the child's physical needs, but also for its spiritual and emotional development. What can I do? Ah, he thought, I know. I step out of my house and I start walking down that road that stretches right in front of it. And whoever comes into my path, I shall consider to be the godparent for my child. And the old man hobbles out of his house and walks down the road. And sure enough, there in his white flowing robes, God, the Father, comes and puts himself right into his path. And he looks down a bit and says, my good man, I know your thoughts already, and I have come to your rescue. I shall offer my services to be the godparent for your child. Oh, Gran Signore. Oh, thank you. That's a great offering. But, you seem to give a lot to the rich and very, very little to the poor. And they say that you are in charge of it all. I don't think it's quite fair. And you see, I'm rather. So if you don't mind, I may move on and to find somebody more suitable. Thank you, though. And the old man walks on and suddenly is struck by a red flashing light. Oh, El Diablo, what takes you so far away from home? And El Diablo steps into his path and he strokes his shiny red fur and he says, my good man, I shall be the best godparent for your child. I will make sure that your child will have everything it desires. And I will also teach it how to get this everything. Oh, esteemed devil, El Diablo, thank you. That's very, very generous, your offering. But I fear that you could be more trouble to my child than any good. And what about its soul? If you don't mind, I may move on and decline the offer. And quickly the old man moves on and he takes 2 teardrops out of his eyes and throws them behind him to ward off the devil. And so he walks on. And sure enough, another deity steps into his path. This time, it is the oldest god of all gods, Chualapat, also known to be the god before all time. And he speaks in his croaky voice. Old man, I shall offer my services to your child. I will teach it that everything shall pass, especially happiness. Oh, Chualabat, thank you. That is very kind. But, I want my child to experience all the ups and downs in life. And it looks like it would rather be sad and always longing for some happiness. I don't think that is good. So if you don't mind, I will decline again and will move on. And but now, the old man is a bit doubtful. Will he ever find a suitable godparent? But then again, another god steps into his path. And this one introduces himself. Oh, I am Tezcatlipoca, also known to be the god of the smoking mirrors, also the god of memories. I will teach your child to live by its memory only. Reality is not so important, but memories are. Oh, Tezcatlipoca. That sounds really interesting. But is it right and true to live in the past by memories only and not at all in the present moment? I don't think so. So sorry, I shall move on. And the old man walks on and feels a bit deflated. And the day is coming to an end soon. And he sees in the distance dark clouds forming and some lights flashing. And he thinks to himself, I might just as well go home to my wife and my 12 children. And just when he turns, he sees in the corner of his eye the oldest, most bone-dried figure stepping out of the forest right into his path. La Calavera, grandmother Death. Her beautiful black, bony skull glowing in the shine of the sunset. And her teeth, big teeth, yellow stained teeth, there to sever the birth cord to bring the newborn down to earth. And also there to sever the silver cord to release once again the spirit, the soul to the heavens. And La Calavera steps into his path. I shall be the right godmother for your child, my man. I will make your child into a grand curandero, a grand healer. I will awaken in your child the power of knowing when somebody will live and when somebody will die. And through this awakening, your child will live a life full of awareness, of wisdom, prosperity, but also service to others. A very good and decent life. Oh, La Calavera, thank you so very much for showing up. I know, I almost gave up. Thank you. And yes, you're right. It seems like death treats everybody equal, poor and rich. Yes, I think, yes, you are the right godparent for my child. So I will gratefully accept. Thank you. And on the agreed upon time, La Calavera appears at the birth of a little boy. And she holds him in her arms. And she gently rocks him. And she sings to him. And she holds him over the stream of a river. And during his growing up years, she appears to him in his dreams. And each time she appears, his longing for life and love intensifies. And in the dream, she teaches him about the holiness of the wheel of life, death, and rebirth, and that everything stands equal. And when her godson had grown from a little boy into a strong young man, La Calavera appears to him in person. And she takes him to a forest called the Margin Forest. And there she talks to him. Me, oh my son, I'm standing on the dividing line between life and death. And I shall teach you now everything you need to know to become a very wise and very, very efficient curandero, a great curandero. Now listen carefully. Whenever you are called to a patient and you step into their bed chamber and you see the patient laid out right in front of you on their bed, always look to where I stand. If you see me standing at the head of the patient, that means they will die. And you shall announce in a loud and strong voice, sorry, I cannot do more. This patient will die. But when you see me standing at the feet of the patient, it means they will recover and live. And you shall announce in a loud and strong voice, this patient will live. And then, my son, you have to administer these potent herbs. And she hands him a big bag full. Potent herbs, they're magic herbs. You find them here at the bottom of the Margin Forest. Do it quickly, and you will see the patient will rise from their bed and live on. So now do your good work, and always, always look out for where I'm standing. I shall always guide you, my son. And so this young man carefully slips into the shoes of a curandero. And initially he sees a few people looking out for La Calavera. And then it spreads almost like a wildfire around the country that among them is the great curandero, a healer who seems to know when somebody shall live or die. And they say it's odd, because sometimes the person who comes to him just beforehand had been still very robust and healthy, and then they die. And others who have been sick and old and decrepit for a long time, they miraculously recover and live on. One day, our young curandero is summoned by the king's soldiers, and he hears their horses galloping fast towards his house, and they stop right there and call out to him, curandero, curandero, our king has fallen ill. You must come immediately and help him. You must heal him. And the young curandero is a little bit hesitant, but then he grabs his bag and mounts his horse and gallops back with the king's soldiers as fast as he can to the castle. And there he is led into the bed chamber of the king. And he looks down at the king, looks down. And then he looks where La Calavera stands. And yes, you guessed it. She's standing there right at the head of the king. And the king looks up to him and says, oh, curandero, thank you for coming. You have to help me, please. Please save my life. If you do, I shall give you half my kingdom. Please, please. And the young curandero looks down at the king again, and he feels suddenly an excitement spreading in his chest. And he's imagining how it would be to have half a kingdom and to be a rich and famous man. And then he looks at La Calavera, and he looks down at the king. Then on an impulse, he grabs the bed, he turns it around, and now La Calavera is standing at the feet of the king, and he is announcing in a loud and strong voice, this king shall live. And quickly he administers these potent herbs. And indeed, the king rises from his bed and walks right out of his bed chamber. And the curandero is mightily pleased with himself. Oh my God, I healed the king, and I've inherited half a kingdom. And he grabs his bag and he steps out into the corridor, straight into the path of La Calavera, who has been waiting for him. Mijo, my son, you shall never, never do that again. There's a greater heart rhythm behind these matters of life and death, my son. And he nods and internally shrugs it off a little bit and feels like he got away easily with La Calavera and she's not too mad at him. And on his way home, riding home, he's anticipating this rich and famous life. Back at home, he continues his healing work. And not much time has passed when he hears the king's soldiers again galloping fast with their horses towards his house. And they stop and call out, "Curandero, curandero, the king's daughter, the princess has fallen ill now. You have to come immediately, please. You have to help her." And the young curandero doesn't hesitate once. He grabs his bag, he mounts his horse, and he rides back with the king's soldiers to the castle. And there, he's led into the bedchamber of the princess. And he has never seen anything that beautiful. There, the princess on her bed, her beautiful hair flowing like waves over her shoulders, her delicate fingers crossed and laid on her chest, her cheeks, although flushed with fever, giving her an almost healthy shine. And she just looks at him with her pleading eyes. And then the king comes in. "Oh, curandero, thank you for coming. You have to heal my daughter. You have to help her. Please, if you do make her healthy, I shall give you her hand in marriage, and I shall announce it immediately as soon as it's done. Please." And the young curandero looks down at the beautiful princess, and his heart is swelling with love. But now it's time to look and to check where La Calavera stands. And he's looking around. And I know you guessed. She's standing right at the head of the princess. And the young man looks down at the princess, looks up at La Calavera, and then takes the bed, turns it around, and now La Calavera is standing at the feet of the princess, and he's announcing in a loud and strong voice, "This princess shall live," and quickly administers these potent herbs. And indeed, the princess rises from her bed and walks out of her bedchamber. And the king comes and hugs the curandero. "You are the greatest healer of all times. Oh, thank you. I shall announce your wedding for tomorrow morning. I will announce it to the whole country." And our young curandero is even more pleased with himself. His smile is from one ear to another. And he grabs his bag and walks out into the corridor, straight into the path of La Calavera, who looks at him oddly sad. "Mijo, my son, come with me, I want to show you something." And she grabs him by the hand and leads him to the back of the castle, where they stop at a set of stairs leading down into the earth, into the ground. And she grabs his hand again and says, "Come with me, come with me." And together they're walking on these beautiful, white, polished marble steps, walking down and down, down, until they come to a landing. And in the landing, there's a door. And on the door, there's a big iron ring. And La Calavera lifts the iron ring, opens the door, which leads to another set of stairs going down. And again, she grabs the hand of her godson and says, "Come." And together they walk down, now on steps older and more crudely cut into rock. And they keep walking, down, further down, until they come again to a landing. And again, there's a door right there in the floor. And this time the iron ring looks very, very rusty. La Calavera is to use all her strength to pull it up. And it opens up into another set of stairs. These are very, very old steps covered with green moss and moisture. And she grabs the hand again, and together they walk down. Soon they're greeted by the musty smell of the earth, and it's getting a little bit colder, a bit damp. Finally, they come to another landing. And this time they stand in front of a big iron gate. And La Calavera pushes the iron gate, which opens into a huge cave, big cave, as far as the human eye can see, full of candles, lit candles of all shapes and sizes, big, tall ones with strong flames, medium ones, and little sparkly smoking ones, and those who just go out like a falling star going down. And the curandero stands and looks and says, La Calavera, where are we? And in his mind, he's still very much up in the castle with the princess. Mio, my son, this place is called Miglan, the underworld. This is where all life begins. This is where all life ends. And this is where all life begins again. Miglan. Yeah, interesting. But what about, what is it with all these candles? I'm glad you're asking. All these candles represent the life of the living. Everyone on earth has their own candle. And everyone right now living on earth, and everyone still coming to earth, yet to come, or about to depart, is registered here, my son, in this place called Miglan. That's very interesting, but look, La Calavera, don't you think we should be back up at the castle? Remember, I'm going to marry the princess, and that's already tomorrow morning. Mio, my son, don't you understand that this is the place of death and blood? This is the place. And in the corner of her eye, she detects a glimmer of awareness in her godson. Yeah, no, I get it, La Calavera, of course, with the candles. The big, tall candles, the strong flame, are the ones of the young, of the children who have got a long life to live. And the small, little, smoky ones are the ones of the old who are going to die. Isn't that right? Not quite, not quite. Yes, indeed. A lot of the tall candles are of the young, but quite a number of the tall candles are also of the old and the sick who will recover and live. And indeed, quite a number of the small candles are of the old who are going to die soon. But sadly, quite a lot of the old little candles are of the young children, of the innocent babies, of the unborn, of the newborn, those who have not left their mother's womb. And then she points to with her bony fingers and says, look, see, these are the candles of your king and his daughter. And the candles are very, very small candles, and their flames are wavering and sputtering and smoking, just about to go out. Can't you see that there are greater fates in place than your simple wishes? Oh, La Calavera, no, that can't be. that's not possible. I just healed the king and his daughter. I just healed them. This is not possible. Oh, La Calavera, my heart, I don't know. I can hardly breathe. What's happening? What's happening? Please, will you show me my candle, please? Very well, very well. And La Calavera points to a candle right in the middle of the cave. A very, very small candle. Its flame almost drowning by the juice of the candle. It sparks up a bit and dies down. Sparks up and dies down. No, La Calavera, that can't be my candle. Please, please tell me that's not true. Please, no. La Calavera, you have to help me. I will run. I will do a better run next time. I will be a better curandero. I will listen to Mio, my son. You still don't understand. This is not punishment. You see, your king and his daughter are going to die in spite of your temptation to interfere. Life has free will, but this part, this is destined. Fate cannot be changed. Not theirs, not yours, not anybody's on this planet. No, La Calavera, this cannot be. This cannot be. Please. Oh, I know. Why don't you just light a new candle and I start a new life? My beautiful godson. A new candle can only be lit when the old one has gone out. No, please. And La Calavera stands. In this place she has stood for thousands of years, listening to the pleading, to the cry. And then she slowly stretches out one of her stick-like fingers, hands, grabs a new candle. And it almost looks like she lights it from the small flame of the curandero's candle. But no, she slowly guides it down and sets it right on top of the flame that goes out. And the curandero falls over right into the arms of La Calavera, who now holds his body. And she moves it and she sings to it, like she did when he was a young baby. And so for a while they stand and she sings. And then she stretches out her finger. And at the tip of her index finger, a flame appears. And with that, she lights his new candle. And then waits for the heartbeat, for the heart song of a father, for the heart song of a mother, for a heart song of life itself, longing for this child to be born on planet Earth. A child that requires a special kind of God for life, for death, and for rebirth. Blessed be. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was really splendid.
Thank you.
Anybody?
Was such a powerful telling. My God, it was literally amazing. Like, I mean, we were spellbound with your narration. Beautiful telling and very, very deep story. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone here want to come here and say a word? Come.
Thank you. Actually, you have taken us to travel along with you.
Oh,
Amazing. And the voice modulation and the way you expressed, it was amazing. Thank you lots.
no, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Thank you.
Is that story told in that the Women Who Run with the Wolves?
Yeah, it's in it's another collection of Clarissa's. It's called The Power of the Crone. It's yeah, it's an audiobook, and I listened to it many times, and then I scribed it and wrote it out. And yeah, it's in that one. It's a beautiful, I just love it. I think it's such an amazing story. And
what do you especially love about it?
What do I love about it? Well, do you know, when I listened to it, it spoke to me completely of also, you know, my my narrow escape of, or when the earthquake, and this is happening, the anniversary is on the 22nd of February, the earthquake in Christchurch happened, now 12 years ago. My candle was obviously not in the sputtering small candle space, but others were, and I had to kind of come to terms with that somehow, as a survivor, as a narrow survivor of this earthquake. I had to come to terms with saying, look, I don't know whether this is fate or not, but at least I know that I've been given another chance, you know, to move on. And my first husband had a very small candle, and he always knew it, and he died when he was 30 years old. And so I was a 26-year-old widow, and had to also accept that that was his destiny. I could not, nothing could change it. And for me, it's a story of surrendering and wisdom, that everything has its place and its time. Yeah. So very personal, a very personally relatable story for me. Yeah. I think it's a story I dedicate to my first husband, to my first beloved. Yeah.
Jeff, did you want to say anything? You're okay? Okay, well, thank you so much.
Thank you for allowing me to take part in this beautiful festival. And thank you, Eric, for all your work. Are you going for a lunch break now?
Yes, as a matter of fact.
Can you show me who is sitting there? Can you turn it around so I can see who is sitting in the library?
First, I'm going to stop